strategy of the government has always been to protect lives and livelihoods.
That strategy has resulted in the implementation of stricter COVID-19 containment measures. We know the measures have been restrictive, but you can control the extent to which they are used. If we all play our part by wearing a mask, sanitizing, limiting our public outings to work, getting groceries and medication, and maintaining the 6 feet apart rule, we can limit the spread of the virus. We are in this together. Let's build back stronger.
My job is to ensure that every man, woman and child maintain good health at all times.
Our primary function is to ensure that government services are delivered effectively and efficiently.
We are building forward
together.
Today, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, March 8, 2021. Jamaica received its first batch of COVID-19 vaccines today. The AstraZeneca vaccines are a gift from the Government of India and arrived at the Norman Manley International Airport this afternoon. The shipment is expected to have included 50,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine. This first batch will be followed by the March 11 arrival of 14,400 doses of vaccine procured under the COVAX facility. Another 1.8 million doses procured under a deal with the African Medical Supply Platform will also follow. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has published a detailed vaccination program schedule, which outlines that frontline medical and health personnel who are at the highest risk of exposure will be first to get vaccinated. This process is expected to begin within 48 hours of the vaccine's arrival on the island.
The implementation plan is an aggregation, ladies and gentlemen, of the micro plans that have been developed at the regional and parish levels. It takes into account the appointment system.
Later in the month, members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Defence Force, along with persons in the 60 and older age group, will gain access to vaccines. This will account for the supplies projected to be received in March. In April, as additional stocks arrive, vaccination of the 60 and older age group will continue to be followed by other frontline workers, government officials, and the general public. Jury trials for the St. Catherine Circuit have been suspended as of today. A statement from the Court Administration Division at the Ministry of Justice advises that persons who were summoned for jury duty at the St. Catherine Circuit are not required to attend and have been discharged without any risk of penalty. Matters which qualify as bench trials and matters in which the Crown and the defense agree to a bench trial will still proceed during the St. Catherine Circuit. The decision from the judiciary comes as the country continues to see increasingly high numbers of COVID-19 cases. The statement from the Court Administration Division urges Jamaicans to adhere to the COVID-19 protocols to limit the spread of the coronavirus. A number of persons across the island will be getting free cardiovascular health services during the course of this year, due to a $70 million grant from the Heart Institute of the Caribbean Foundation, HIC. The foundation has partnered with members of Parliament to distribute the grant for in-kind gifts in cardiovascular services at the Heart Institute of the Caribbean and HIC Heart Hospital.
$5 million per parish, so that those who cannot afford it can come in and determine what is happening with their heart and their heart health.
Partnering MPs will have full autonomy in screening, selecting and awarding redeemable coupons to appropriate individuals. Those who qualify will receive a letter from the HIC or HIC Heart Hospital that entitles them to a maximum of $50,000 towards the cost of services at HIC or HIC Heart Hospital.
In so doing, we really hope to impact Jamaica on a whole to make sure that we are healthier and that we live longer lives, especially in an era that we have a pandemic that we're facing. They simply need to call us.
The grant amount is valid and redeemable until December 31, 2021 at any Heart Institute of the Caribbean location in Jamaica. Construction of 3 new fire stations is expected to be completed during the upcoming financial year. The fire stations are under construction in Montego Bay, Port Maria, and Yallis. Government has set aside $1.27 billion to undertake this and other activities under the Jamaica Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project. The project seeks to enhance Jamaica's resilience to disaster and climate risk. For the 2021-22 period, it is also anticipated that the Port Royal Street coastal revetment will be completed and that the National Risk Information Platform, microzonation study, and coastal assessments will be finished. Additionally, funds will be used to facilitate training on the new building codes through the Hart NSDA Trust, the Management Institute for National Development, and the University of Technology. The project is being implemented by the Jamaica Social Investment Fund with funding from the Government of Jamaica and the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. The Registrar General's Department, RGD, is reporting good response to its same-day and next-day certificate initiative, with 1 in 5 customers demanding the service. The product, which was launched on February 22, is offered to persons who have been previously issued a computer-generated birth, marriage, or death certificate.
With a demand rate of 20%, clearly it has been justified already in the first few weeks. And I suspect that as the word gets out to say that this really and truly is a credible service, it is a reliable service, I expect the demand to grow from 20%. In fact, we are hoping, based on our projections, that it will grow to upwards of 30%.
Applications for same-day and next-day processing of certificates may be submitted at RGD locations across the island. Persons interested in the same-day service will be required to pay $7,500, while those wishing to use the next-day service will pay $6,000. For more information, visit rgd.gov.jm. And finally, Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Gender Affairs Minister Olivia Grange are assuring Jamaicans that government continues to actively prioritize gender equality. Their comments come as Jamaica celebrates International Women's Day, being observed under the theme Women in Leadership and Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. In her statement, Minister Grange asserted that the future of Jamaica was linked to its ability to enable women to achieve their fullest potential and economic independence. As such, she said we must commit to accelerating actions towards achieving an equal future in a COVID-19 world. Prime Minister Holness, meanwhile, pointed to the tangible steps to recruit and promote women and recognizing that women have been innovators and leaders in all areas of national life. Mr. Holness's comments were contained in his address for Commonwealth Day, also being observed. In it, he affirmed Jamaica's commitment to the 54-member body through the shared goals and core values of democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
The Forestry Department is leading the implementation of the National Tree Planting Initiative, which seeks to plant 3 million trees in 3 years, 1 for each Jamaican plus a little extra for good measure. So I'm inviting each Jamaican to visit our nurseries across the island and collect your tree seedling and make your mark towards this great goal for Jamaica.
It's never too late to start a healthy journey, and that first step begins with you paying close attention to your body. Hear more from cancer survivor Deirdre Ashman.
She had her first child at 16 and the second just past the age of 19. Her life was going well until, at age 26, she started to experience excruciating pain with abnormally heavy periods. She dismissed it. Maybe it's stress, a miscalculation of the period start date, until one night, the pain became too unbearable to ignore.
When I went to the doctor, she said, do a pap smear. When I did the pap smear, 3 weeks after, she called me and said, what they see, the pap smear don't come back normal. I have to go and do a colposcopy.
Her doctor advised her to see a gynecologist. At the gynecologist, a test was done and an emergency colposcopy ordered.
A colposcopy is the insertion inside of it with a camera and all the tests to see what's happening. And when they did the biopsy and everything and it come back, I was literally at a stage 3 cervical cancer. At 26 with 2 children and at a stage 3 cancer, all you hear about cancer is death.
Determined to fight, she weighed her options. Her treatment of choice was radiation and chemotherapy at the Kingston Public Hospital.
Radiation burns your body. Can you imagine you cannot have a shower for at least 3 to 4 months. You just have to pat and do everything. You cannot eat normal food because if you do, you're going to have constant diarrhea or vomiting because your system starts to change. But thank God for KPH, there were some good doctors there. Very good doctors who encouraged me, who loved me through this, as I was one of the youngest young girl at KPH at that time, going through this and doing this treatment. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And I went through it. I prayed, thank God. He had a plan for me and I'm here today. And I am here with this team saying taking responsibility. It's not the government to take responsibility for you. I'm going to encourage parents to encourage your children to take care of them, to protect them from this act before it's too late. Some of us don't show signs. But look at me today. Thanks to KPH, thanks to the good doctors, thanks that at 26 I didn't have any money. So what would I do? Don't I would have died? And I hear people talk about the system. No. They are there to help us. I pay a little money. That's why I'm standing here today with the grace of God. Amen. Right? So go to the clinics and go with a good attitude and talk to your nurse and your doctor and you will see how it works out. So remember, take responsibility for who? You and your... Okay.
For more information on cervical cancer caused by the human papillomavirus, call 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683. You may also email hpvinfo@moh.gov.jm.
Agriculture and fisheries is big business. Get formalized this year. Be among 100 farmers and fisheries producers who will benefit from a developmental project funded by the International Labour Organization and implemented by the government of Jamaica. Whether you're male or female, we want to help you. Young farmers, there's a special place for you too. Apply at any RADA or JBDC office island-wide and jbdc.net. Deadline March 22. Agriculture and fisheries is big business.
Women have been making their mark in all sectors, including those dominated by men. Take a look.
My name is Lolita Ingram Lewis. I'm from Manchester. I live in Western Jamaica. And I'm a truck driver for the past 26 years. My stepfather, Jeffrey Wint, he used to drive a Buffalo Leland and he taught me how to shift the box. Then one morning he just said, carry the truck down off the hill. I could steer because I could drive a car. So I started driving trucks from I was about 10. I used to be a security officer. Then I applied for this job and they gave me a 3-month contract. Then they love how I drive. I don't destroy the truck and I take good care and I'm a good driver. Then they give me a 1 year. So since they give me the 1 year, so they say, you're qualified to go get the new truck. This is a Shackman truck. It has 10 speed, 5 high, 5 low. It has shanker. It's for the retirement dump, this dump. We're gonna be working in this dump. So yes, I'm gonna be running it. As you know, this is the steering. This is the emergency lock-up brake. It's in lock position. When you want to move, you have to release it, put it down this side. It's a 10-speed box. So anytime you move it, you have to stick the clutch. This is 1, 2, 3, down 4, 5, flip the button, go over, you get 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's neutral. You put it down, then you select it in third. Then, as I said, this button around this side brings up the body, right? And after you tip up the body and coming back down, you have to take it out third, and you have to disengage the PTO, right? And as you can see, it's brand new. The plastic is still on it. This is the horn. It has two horn. You can do like this, and it goes. And then you have a louder horn. When you press it, it goes. Okay. And it has air condition, a little radio. I would go for the single mothers who are raising kids on their own. This is possible. From I do it because I'm a single mother for Brittany McCarter, and it's possible. Not because I've been doing it for 26 years. I raise kids in between. But for the girls who think that they have to depend on a guy to get their nails done, their hair done, they can become a truck driver. I wish the government though would open a trucking academy. You understand? So men, females, mothers can become a truck driver and inspire other girls too. I have to say thanks to my daughter who wake up 5 o'clock in the morning so I can come to work. She don't like it, but I said, if I don't work, you can't go to a prep school. You can't do swimming. You can't do gymnastics. So mommy gotta work. So I want to say thanks to my daughter, Brittany McCarter, for helping me to accomplish my dreams.
I'm sure my neighbors hear the screams and cries.
I'm sure by now they've seen the bruises through my oversized glasses.
Can they tell I'm depressed when we speak?
Are they counting my frequent days off from work?
Domestic violence is any pattern of behavior used by an individual to maintain control or power over another. Domestic violence is not just physical, it can also be verbal. If you're in a relationship where you are being abused or know of anyone, get out and speak up. Report domestic violence by calling 119 or the nearest police station. Get out before someone puts you out.
As we celebrate International Women's Day, we call on you to ensure their safety by reporting abuse. Call 876-553-0372 or 876-553-0387 for help.
All that is an actual story, a story all too familiar. And well, that's a part of my story. Growing up, I've seen my father flip over the simplest of things. He would basically change from an angel to a devil in a flash. I remember this instance. My mom told me that she was coming home from work one evening because she worked very close to where he lived. She was coming home from work, and usually when you're leaving work, it's a lot of persons leaving at the same time, and she was talking to one of her co-workers and she smiled at him. He smiled back, and my father saw that, And when she went home, he was ready for her. He was like, oh, see, I smell it, man, on the road. You smell it, man, on the road. He beat her, he stripped her naked, and he chased her in front of the yard so all her co-workers could see. So all her co-workers could see her.
Domestic abuse or domestic violence is not just physical abuse. The physical abuse basically for us is the end product coming from somewhere else. So you have stalking, you have intimidation, you have threat, you have psychological abuse, the one that I'll tell you, I play on your emotions as to what I can do.
It was known to everybody that this was the type of person she was dating, this was the type of man he was. Even the security at the gate, the manager, everyone. So it's not like her life was a secret. If she could not have any friends. He was the only person she could talk to, go anywhere with. If someone even talked to her and she not acknowledging them, she would get beaten for that. The least good thing, he would flip on her.
Usually, persons who are perpetrators of domestic violence are usually men, and usually they are persons who were controlling over their intimate partners. They tend to have a high level of jealousy, and they tend to be very possessive. And as such, you find that they will have a pattern of behavior where they will always check where the partner is by various means, whether by calling the person, asking the person where they are, also want to know who are they communicating with. So are they communicating persons on email, WhatsApp, or the social media platform? They also want to make sure that they know where they are at all times and that they're not interacting with other persons outside, so they tend to want to have them stay home, for example, and lose connection with their families and friends.
A lot of persons knew that my mom was being abused. Well, the type of man that my father was, everyone was afraid of him. My neighbor was afraid of him. His neighbor was afraid of him. It's like anyone who came into contact with him would get hurt because he's not a simple person. I'm not sure if it's because of his build. He's really fit, he's really tall, muscular, so he's not afraid.
As community members, we have a moral responsibility that within our homes and within our communities, once we are aware that there are instances of domestic abuse and domestic violence and we seek help, best place to go? To the police. Ask the police to intervene. Intervention can be that the police directs the victim to a counseling center, because we have partnership with churches, right? We have partnership with other organizations, Justices of the Peace, counselors.
Every time she escaped him, he would either stalk her, chase her, go to her either friend's house, wherever she went, friend's house, mother's house, cousin's house, no matter where she went, he would find her, go for her with a gun, knife, machete, whatever it may be, and she would always have to go back with him. No one, no matter how much they try to fight and help her, he would always get her back. And when she goes back with him, the beating got worse, the abuse got worse, the rape got worse, everything got worse.
Have an escape plan. Your escape plan cannot be where the perpetrator knows that you're going over to your mother's house because he's aware of where your mother lives. The escape plan cannot be, I'm going to go stay by my friend because he knows where your friends are. If it's a life-threatening abuse, that's where you go to the courts to seek a protection order or an occupation order or both.
I would say maybe around primary school. I'm not sure the exact age. I was told that there was a restraining order for me and between me and my father. He should not be about, I'm not sure how much feet from me. He's not allowed to be near me at all. At this time I was living with my grandmother because my mom got full custody now. They had went through court and everything and fought her way, so there was no more hiding from him. He knew where I was living now because she got custody and he had to basically step away.
The protection order will say you are not to be seen, you are to remove one party is to leave the household because of the volatility of the situation. The court may say, look here, one party must leave the household and reside elsewhere. And other times it's the abuser that the court will say, look, stay somewhere else until the matter is heard. Or you are not to be seen in the workplace of the person.
The abuse that my mom endured, the physical abuse and the verbal abuse that I basically endured from my father, it has caused me to basically lock myself away from people. I'm always by myself 90% of the time, I would say. I'm always by myself. Throughout high school, I've had counseling. I was rebellious because I felt like no one loved me. I struggled in the relationship department, friendship. I have anger issues. I've learned to control it because of counseling. I had this teacher, she helped me throughout high school and university.
Counseling able to revisit what happened, able to process it in a more positive way, a more realistic way. So you don't put all the blame on yourself, but you realize that a lot of it wasn't your fault, and then help you now to, having dealt with it, to try to move on. Because a lot of persons, because they don't deal with it, they find it difficult to relate to other persons because they felt that they're still kind of baggage of what happened to them before.
The Domestic Violence Intervention Centers, one of those facilities that were donated by the U.S. Embassy, and it's a partnership between the JCF and the U.S. Embassy, to create a facility where persons can come and speak about domestic violence and domestic abuse related issues within their home. And so it's a safe space for both victims and perpetrator. And it offers counseling to family members, to victims, also to perpetrators. We have two centers that are currently operational. One is at the Matilda's Corner Police Station. You can call the Matilda's Corner Police Station for that. The other one is at Air 5 headquarters. That's on the same compound as Constant Spring Police Station. The number is 702-5120 or 702-5121.
We also have available mental health and suicide helpline. And this helpline is a 24-hour service, which is toll-free, where a person can call. So it can be either persons calling on behalf of others that they have been exposed to domestic violence. So the helpline is toll-free and it's 888-NEW-LIFE, which is 888-639-5433. And the 24-hour service, 7 days per week.
If you know someone is being abused, say something, do something.
That's where we leave you on today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Be sure to join us again tomorrow around about the same time on this same station for another information-packed program. We are always available online. Visit our website or our YouTube channel or subscribe to our social media pages. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.